In the ongoing effort to curb climate change, scientists are taking aim at a surprisingly potent source of the greenhouse gases that are warming our planet: cows. As part of our Tipping Point series, science correspondent Miles O'Brien traveled from California to Mexico and even to Australia to explore a bold idea that could make a big impact.
It's dark 30 at the Strauss Dairy Farm in Marin County, California. The cows stand patiently in line, ready for the morning milking. At the helm is Albert Strauss.
I want to make a farming system that's a positive impact on the environment, at the same time producing high-quality organic food.
So methane is never far from his mind. It's an especially potent greenhouse gas. Over 20 years, it traps about 80 times more heat than carbon dioxide. Dairy cows and beef cattle emit a significant amount of it. It mostly comes from their burps, not flatulence. In fact, methane emissions from livestock exceed the oil and gas industry. It's a stubborn problem, and for Albert, it threatens to derail his goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2030.
Cows have an essential role in reversing climate change.
That's why in 2021, he jumped at the chance to become the first commercial dairy in the U.S. to test a novel methane mitigation solution: seaweed in the feed. He enrolled 24 cows in a 2-month trial.
The things that we were testing for didn't have any effects on animal health or human health. There was no off flavors or effects on the quality of the milk or the quantity of the milk.
The additive comes from a red seaweed called Asparagopsis taxiformis. It was less than 0.5% of the cow's diet, but the results were dramatic.
An average of 52% reduction, with some cows over 80% and one cow over 90%.
University of California, Davis animal scientist Ermias Cabreb consulted on the study. He is a world leader in the quest to cut methane emissions from livestock.
I think we can produce high-quality protein, high-quality milk, at the same time help the planet.
To gather data on how much methane a cow might be exhaling, they use a device called green feed. As the cows lick, chew, breathe, and belch, the gases they exhale are sucked into a tube for real-time analysis.
It will analyze the contents of the breath in different concentrations of the gases.
Hello, how are
crisp
you?
bunch,
How are
yes.
you? They are recording impressive results. Cows that consume just 0.25% of seaweed in their diet emit 30% less methane.
We are kind of slowly introducing the higher dose now.
What do you think the upward limit is?
In the literature, there is a report that 98% reduction.
98.
98% reduction. Ourselves, we've seen about 80%.
And that's with only 0.5% seaweed additive. So why do cows produce so much methane? To understand that, we need to ruminate, literally, on the rumen, the first of 4 compartments in a cow's stomach. Here, microbes start the whole process of turning grass into energy. But this fermentation also releases carbon dioxide, CO2, and hydrogen, H2. With the help of a special enzyme, those molecules are converted to methane, CH4, and exhaled. But this process can be disrupted by an ingredient in seaweed called bromoform. It disables that enzyme, preventing the CO2 and the H2 from forming methane. And the hydrogen is now available to create more energy for the cow. Effective as it appears to be, a lot of it needs to be grown to make a dent in livestock methane production. That's what they're working on here in Mexico, 140 miles south of San Diego. In the tiny community of Ejido Arrendara, the U.S. startup that performed the study at the Strauss Dairy Farm is shifting into large-scale production. This is the Blue Ocean Barns Seaweed Farm.
So this is called a sun tube.
The senior manager of operations expansion, Hannah Reza Teretz, gave me a tour.
All of our cultures start in this room and then scale outside all the way up through our different vessel sizes.
Outdoors, they scale up in 17,000-gallon shallow vessels. Scientists are still learning what the seaweed likes and what it doesn't. You're trying to scale up and still understand some basic science at the same time, which is a challenge, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah. It is something that makes this job very exciting. It also means that as we go, we're also going back and improving our systems every day.
Joan Selwyn is the co-founder and CEO of Blue Ocean Barns.
It became clear that this kind of finicky seaweed was not just going to become domesticated without a little bit of a fight.
The company has raised $35 million. It is in talks with some major food producers, scrambling for ways to meet carbon neutrality targets.
Not one of them will get to carbon neutral without our product. And if they continue to feel pressure to make good on their promise, I feel very, very bullish.
Nice one. But she does face a serious roadblock. In the U.S., the Food and Drug Administration has no category for products aimed at reducing greenhouse gases. If bromoform from seaweed is considered a veterinary drug, the approval process might take 5 to 10 years. Far too long, given the urgency of the climate crisis.
We're a little stuck in the United States.
Studies show no toxicity and no adverse effects. Australia has already approved seaweed feed for livestock. I'm going to have a Simply Grilled with cheese, please.
Yeah, 2 of those, thank you.
In fact, low-methane burgers have been on the market down under for 2 years. I tried one in Sydney with Sam Elsom, co-founder and CEO of the Tasmania-based seaweed producer Seaforest. Australia didn't classify the additive as a drug, which made the approval much faster.
I'm grateful that we live in Australia. It should happen in the US, for sure. It should happen all around the world.
It's a solution without a negative that I could taste.
That's true.
Scientists say we must cut global greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030 in order to limit global warming to 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. But we are headed in the opposite direction. Emissions are still rising. As it turns out, a big solution might be bite-sized. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Miles O'Brien in Sydney, Australia.